Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. So seeking the blessings of my Guru and all of the devotees here that when we speak Harikatha, that we do it in a mood of devotion as an offering of devotion to the Lord. And please forgive me in case I make any mistakes in the Harikatha today. And also forgive me for any mistakes that I made while reciting the Harikatha last week also. So I'm basing today's lectures on lectures that I've heard from multiple devotees. So today's pastimes will talk about another inner meaning of how this Rath Yatra actually came into place. We discussed in the last class that the very first Rath Yatra was held during the reign of the second Manu. There is a deeper meaning behind the Rath Yatra, which we're going to get into today. So Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in 4.11, which I'm sure all of you remember from a class that we had a few weeks back. Lord Krishna says, Ye yatha mam pravadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Meaning, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. But the one thing about Lord Krishna is that he is unable to reciprocate fully with the Vrajavasis. The Vrajavasis' devotion is so topmost, is outstanding, it's unmatched, that even though the Lord promises that he will reciprocate based on the level of surrender, the Lord is unable to reciprocate with the Vrajavasis' love. So Krishna leaves Vrindavan at the age of almost 11 years old when he moves to Mathura. He stays in Mathura for another 17 years. And then from Mathura, he moves to Dwaraka at the age of 28. So from 28 to the age of 125, Lord Krishna is in Dwaraka. Which means the Vrajavasis have been separated from him for more than 100 years. You will recall that if you read the Bhagavatam, the Canto 10, Lord Krishna recognizes that the Vrajavasis are experiencing deep separation from him, and to pacify them, he sends Uddhava with a letter that has to be read to the gopis, a letter written by Lord Krishna himself to pacify them in their separation. But yet, the Vrajavasis are unable to forget Krishna even after 100 years of separation from Lord Krishna. So their anxiety for the Lord, their love for the Lord only keeps increasing. Even in separation, their love for the Lord never reduces. So it is said that Krishna does not have love for himself. So Krishna does not possess bhakti. Bhakti means love for Lord Hari. So love for Lord Hari is not possessed by Krishna. It's possessed by his devotees, his pure devotees. So the love that the gopis and the Vrajavasis have for Krishna is completely unlimited. And therefore, Krishna is not able to reciprocate. So even if he does reciprocate, he reciprocates to the extent that he is Bhagavan. Because he cannot experience what the Vrajavasis experience for him. He is unable to experience that. He is just the recipient of their love. But he does not know what this love actually means. What does it stand for? How does it feel? So Krishna is residing in Dwaraka. And one day, well, it used to be that when Krishna was resting at night, he would call out to the various names of the Vrajavasis, his Sakhas, his mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba, the gopis, and of course he would call out the name of Radharani. And we know from a previous pastime that we've talked about Lord Jagannath, how the 16,108 queens of the Lord are wondering, who is this Radharani? And out of curiosity, they want to know what is so special about Vrindavan that Lord Krishna is constantly dreaming about Vrindavan. He's always mentioning the Vrajavasis in his dreams. And at that time, Rohini, Mother Rohini, tells the 16,108 queens that I can tell you about the Lord's pastimes, but if I start reciting these pastimes, Lord Krishna and Balaram will hear the vibration. And when they hear this vibration of the Vrajavasi Vrindavan Leelas, they will immediately leave for Vrindavan. They will not stay here in Dwaraka anymore. At that time, Subhadra Devi is asked to stand guard outside one of the palace halls when the pastimes are about to be recited, because Subhadra Devi's job is to make sure that Lord Krishna and Balaram come nowhere near the entrance and don't get an opportunity to enter into the Leelas that are about to be recited by Mother Rohini. But as Subhadra Devi is hearing these pastimes, she herself becomes stunned in ecstasy. And little does she know that Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram have also reached there. And similarly, they are stunned, and therefore their eyes are huge. Their limbs have retracted. And this is the special feature of the Lord in separation that is witnessed in the Rath Yatra every year. It's a special darshan for all of us. So like this, in Dwaraka one day, Lord Krishna falls unconscious, but nobody appears to be around him. He is thinking about the gopis and specifically Srimati Radharani. And like this, he falls unconscious. And one wonderful personality appears there. What is this personality's name? Narada Muni. So Narada Muni appears there as Lord Krishna is apparently laying unconscious on the floor, and he's wondering, what am I supposed to do? How do I wake him up? Narada Muni understands that Lord Krishna has fainted in separation. So he also understands the risks of waking up the Lord. Because if he wakes up the Lord and the Lord is deeply engrossed in his Rajavasi Rajalilas, then the Lord will be anxious to leave Dwaraka right away. So as he's pondering what he should do, another personality arrives there, and this is Uddhava. Uddhava is a disciple of Brahaspati. Brahaspati is known to be the guru of all of the devatas. Uddhava himself is a great devotee of the Lord, or at least in the Bhagavatam, he himself thinks he's a perfect devotee of the Lord until he reaches Vrindavan with that letter that Lord Krishna has written personally to be read out to the gopis. And then he realizes what true bhakti is, that what he has is really not bhakti. So after hearing and seeing the level of devotion of the Rajavasis, Uddhava desires to be just a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that anybody who enters Vrindavan steps on his head, such that maybe he will get bhakti one day, similar to what the gopis specifically experience. So Uddhava arrives there and they both have a conversation. What should we do? And they know if they wake up the Lord is going to want to leave for Vrindavan. So as they are discussing what they should really do, a third personality arrives there. Who's this third personality that arrives there? It's none other than Lord Balarama. So now the three of them are discussing, what should we do? So at that time, Uddhava tells Narada Muni, why don't you glorify the Lord? You're a wonderful kirtanier. The purity of your bhakti will certainly awaken the Lord. And Narada Muni says, yes, certainly I can do kirtan. I can sing about the glories of the Lord and the glories of his devotees in Vrindavan. But if I do that, we have to get a chariot ready. And a charioteer also ready, in this case, Dharuka. Because the minute the Lord wakes up, he's going to want to rush to Vrindavan. So the chariot has to be ready. So this is the agreement. So the chariot is ready. Dharuka is ready. But Narada Muni says, yes, I will glorify the Lord. I will talk about his pastimes. But if he goes there, actually Uddhava says, if the Lord wakes up, and we take him to Vrindavan, he's never going to return to Dwaraka. So what will happen to the 16,108 queens that he's married to? So when he sees the Vrajavasis in a mood of separation, certainly the Lord is not going to leave his pure devotees. So at that time, Narada Muni responds and he says, I have an idea. Uddhava, why don't you go to Vrindavan first? Go to Vrindavan, pacify the Vrajavasis, ask them to stop hankering for the Lord. Tell them to stop crying in separation because the Lord is coming. The Lord is on his way. So Uddhava, you go first and pacify the Vrajavasis, because if the Vrajavasis are in a happy mood to receive the Lord is not going to experience that separation. So he will be more than willing to return to Dwaraka after visiting with the Vrajavasis. So it is important that the Vrajavasis receive the Lord in the right mood. If they are crying in separation, Krishna will never leave Vrindavan. He'll never come back to Dwaraka. So Uddhava says, it's a very nice idea, Narada Muni, but the problem is that I don't think I'm the one who should take up this seva. Narada Muni asks why. At that time, Uddhava tells Narada Muni, a long time ago, I took this letter of Lord Krishna to the Vrajavasis and I tried to pacify them. But after reading the letter, the Vrajavasis were even more in separation of the Lord. When he reads the letter to the gopis are experiencing even more separation from the Lord. So they are not pacified after hearing Lord Krishna's words. At that time, Uddhava promises them that I will bring Lord Krishna back. And therefore, Uddhava tells Narada Muni, how can I even show my face there? It's been more than 100 years and Lord Krishna has not visited them. They're not going to trust me as a messenger, because this will be they will think, oh, you've just come to, dupe us again by promising that Krishna is going to come. So Uddhava says, if someone is crying for Krishna, how can I ask them to stop crying? Because a devotee of the Lord is always crying for Krishna. So how can I ask a pure devotee or the pure devotees in Vrindavan to stop crying for the Lord, because that is the constitutional nature of a Jivatma who is deeply in love with the Lord. So if I tell them to stop crying, I'm asking them to stop thinking about Krishna. If I tell them to continue crying, then I'm deepening their anxiety. So in both cases, we have a problem. Certainly, I cannot be this messenger. I cannot ask them to stop crying. I cannot ask them to continue crying. So Narad Muni, after hearing this, turns to Lord Balaram and asks Lord Balaram, Balaram Ji, why don't you go to Vrindavan? After all, you are a relative to the Vrajavasis. So Balaram tells Narada Muni, I can go to Vrindavan, but if I go and if I see my parents in distress, I can assure you I myself will not come back to Dwaraka. So it's a bad idea to ask me to go, because if I go, I'll not come back. And Balaram tells Narada Muni, when I visited Vrindavan after long years of separation, I too promised the Vrajavasis that I will bring Krishna back. And up until now, Krishna has not gone back to Vrindavan, so they will not trust me. So it's not right for me to go. So now there's a problem. So who is going to go to Vrindavan and pacify the Vrajavasis so that they are in the right mood to receive Lord Krishna when he comes on his chariot? At that time, Subhadra Devi comes into the picture. So Narada Muni asks Subhadra Devi, can you please go to Vrindavan and pacify the Vrajavasis? And Subhadra Devi says yes. And she explains how she has an advantage over Balaram or Uddhava. She tells Narada Muni, I have never visited Vrindavan. So this will be my first visit. So certainly the gopis and the Brajavasis will trust me when I tell them Krishna is coming, he's on his way. And I have one more advantage. Definitely with the gopis, I have an advantage. In the body of a woman, the gopis are likely to trust me when I tell them that Lord Krishna is coming. I can tell them, you cannot trust Balaram, you cannot trust Uddhava, because they are all occupying male bodies. But you can certainly trust me. So woman to woman, there will be that kind of trust. So it is decided that Narada Muni instructs that one more chariot has to be readied so that Subhadra can travel on the chariot to Vrindavan. Hearing Subhadra's readiness to go, Balaram speaks up and he says, I too will accompany Subhadra. That way she can do the convincing, but I will go and reciprocate with the Brajavasis. I will go and visit them. So like this, 3 chariots are ready now. One to take Balaram, one to take Subhadra, and another one to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. So Balaram climbs onto his chariot, and so does Subhadra. So Balaram reaches Vrindavan first. Subhadra Devi follows. So meantime, so Narada Muni and Uddhava are left to wake up Lord Krishna. So they've come up with a perfect plan. And now they are ready to wake up the Lord. So Narada Muni sings the Vrindavan Leelas about the Lord. He sings about Srimati Radharani's love for the Lord. And sure enough, Lord Krishna wakes up. And when he wakes up and he sees Narada Muni and Uddhava, he asks, when did you both come to Vrindavan? And he immediately stands up in a threefold bending form, as if to indicate that he was playing the flute, but he actually didn't have a flute in his hand. Because when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he leaves behind his flute, he leaves behind his peacock feather, and he also leaves behind his threefold bending form, the Tribhanga form. This particular feature of the Lord is unique to Vrindavan. So in Dwaraka, Lord Krishna is residing as a king. Therefore, he stands straight. Can we imagine Krishna standing straight? We can't imagine Krishna standing straight. But anyway, in Dwaraka, he is standing straight. He does not have a flute in his hand. And he does not have a peacock feather on his head. He has a crown. And he's bedecked with jewelry. He also does not have the Pitambar Vastra. That is also unique to Vrindavan. So Lord Krishna in Dwaraka is actually Lord Narayana. It's not Krishna himself, because it's Lord Narayana with his 16,108 Lakshmi Devis. So wherever there is Lakshmi, there is no Krishna, there is only Narayana. So actually, it is Lord Narayana in Dwaraka. So when Krishna wakes up, he says, where's my flute? Where's my peacock feather? Am I in Dwaraka or am I in Vrindavan? And at that time, Narada Muni tells him, my dear Lord, you are in Dwaraka. You are not in Vrindavan. At which, hearing which, Lord Krishna starts weeping, saying, I want to go to Vrindavan. I want to see Mother Yashoda. I want to see Nanda Baba. I want to see all my sakhas. I want to meet the gopis. I want to meet Srimati Radharani. So they tell the Lord, my dear Lord, the chariot is ready. Daruka is ready to take you swiftly to Vrindavan. But then Lord Krishna is so intoxicated with his separation, he's not able to get up and walk. He's not able to walk. So Narada Muni and Uddhava somehow manage to take the Lord to the chariot and get him to be seated on the chariot. So Krishna has gotten onto the chariot. So as we said, Balaram's chariot reaches first, followed by Subhadra Devi's. And then what happens? Through the instruction and the manipulation of Yogamaya, Balaram and Subhadra are led directly to Nidhivan. Nidhivan is where the Rasa Leela happens of Lord Krishna with all the gopis, with the millions of gopis. So what do they witness as they arrive there? All of the Brajavasis are gathered around Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani has lost consciousness, and it appears that she is going to leave her body. She is in such deep separation for Krishna, she is ready to give up her body. So witnessing this particular scene, Balaram and Subhadra go into a trance. Their eyes widen, their limbs collapse or retract, and they are experiencing various transcendental symptoms, witnessing the scene of all of the Brajavasis crying because they know Srimati Radharani is about to leave. So Vishakha Devi was chanting the names of Lord Krishna into Radharani's ears, and Lalita Devi was holding Srimati Radharani's head in her palms. And all the other Sakhis were doing various seva, including one of the Sakhis was holding a little piece of cotton under the nose of Srimati Radharani to see if she is still breathing. So witnessing this unique scene, Balaram and Subhadra go into a trance. At that time, one more personality comes there, Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is Radharani's husband. She was married to Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu's sisters are Kutila and Jatila. So Abhimanyu rushes to the scene. He offers his obeisances to Srimati Radharani and takes the dust from her lotus feet and puts it on his head. And he says, as Srimati Radharani looks like she's ready to leave her body, I want to confess something. I need to get something off my chest. I want everybody to know that Srimati Radharani is the chaste consort of Lord Krishna. She is not my consort. She's not my wife. Actually, I want everybody to know I am a devotee of Mother Katyayani, Purnamasi. And Purnamasi has given me the seva of marrying Srimati Radharani and making sure I create whatever hurdles I can to prevent Srimati Radharani from meeting with Lord Krishna. That was my seva. That was the seva that I was given. And that is why I performed the seva. So in reality, when the marriage takes place, I actually marry Chaya Radha and not the real Radharani. So this is the confession that Abhimanyu makes. And then comes Kutila. Kutila is the sister-in-law, apparent sister-in-law of Srimati Radharani. So Kutila comes there and she also offers her obeisances and takes the dust from Radharani's lotus feet and places it on her sindoor. So Kutila also says, Srimati Radharani is the most chaste person and she's the divine consort of Lord Krishna. But I too have to make a confession. My seva was to always find faults in Srimati Radharani as her sister-in-law. So please forgive me because Srimati Radharani is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna. The word Aradhya means to worship. And Srimati Radharani is the greatest worshipper of Lord Krishna. There's nobody who can match her devotion and love for Lord Krishna. So like this, Kutila confesses what her role was in this entire Leela. So Abhimanyu has confessed and now Kutila has confessed, and both of them are begging and pleading forgiveness. Although this is the seva that they actually got. So Chandravali, who is the competitor, apparent competitor of Srimati Radharani, because Krishna would also visit Chandravali. And Chandravali also comes there along with all of her Sakhis. She too offers her obeisances to Srimati Radharani and applies the dust from Radharani's lotus feet onto their heads. At that time, Chandravali says, Krishna only loves Srimati Radharani. He does not love me. When he comes to meet me, he thinks I'm Radharani. But when he realizes that I'm not Srimati Radharani, he leaves the place right away. So there is no deeper association between me and Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna approaches me thinking that I am Srimati Radharani. So I want to tell everybody that although Krishna visits me frequently, he visits me thinking I am Srimati Radharani. But every time he notices that I am not Radhe, he leaves the place disappointed. So these are the confessions that come out as Srimati Radharani is lying unconscious. So Krishna arrives finally. So when Lord Krishna arrives, Vishaka tells Radharani in her ear that Lord Krishna has arrived, Lord Krishna has arrived, open your eyes. Open your eyes because Lord Krishna has arrived. So hearing this, Srimati Radharani opens her eyes. And when Lord Krishna sees Srimati Radharani for the first time, he faints, he becomes unconscious. And so Srimati Radharani instructs Vishaka and Lalita and tells them, he's gone into a trance because he's experiencing separation from me. The only way to wake him up is to arrange for a breeze to touch my body so that the fragrance from my body should enter the nostrils of Lord Krishna, and then he will wake up right away. And also she tells Vishaka Devi, please recite my name in his ears. So as the breeze touches his nose and as he hears my name, he will wake up. Sure enough, this is organized. A breeze touches Srimati Radharani's body and the fragrance from her body is carried into Lord Krishna's nose as Radharani's names are being recited in his ears. So Lord Krishna thus wakes up. And the two of them are experiencing their leelas with each other again. And at that time, I believe it is Lalita Devi that performs the first Aarati of the divine couple. That was done early in the morning, and this till today is celebrated as Mangala Aarti. Mangala Aarti means the most auspicious time. The most auspicious time is when Lord Krishna is meeting with Srimati Radharani. So this is celebrated today as Mangala Aarti in all of the temples. This is the first Mangala Aarti done by Lalita Devi for the divine couple. So at that time, Lord Krishna tells Srimati Radharani, first of all, he begs forgiveness. He says, I am sorry that we've been separated for so long. Ask me for anything that you want. I will grant you whatever desire you have. At that time, Srimati Radharani tells Lord Krishna, the only desire I have is that all of the Jivatmas must have an opportunity to witness this pastime of you and I meeting. Of the three of you coming on your chariot to Vrindavan. So this is the Ratha Yatra. Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and Subhadra Devi experiencing the separation from Vrindavan as they are approaching Vrindavan. At that time, Lord Krishna says, but then all the Jivatmas will get to see me, will get to see Dauji, will get to see Subhadra Devi. But what about you? So Lord Krishna tells Radharani, you will also be there during the Rath Yatra. But you will be there in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I myself will come, but I will come in the mood of Srimati Radharani to depict that separation. So when the Rath Yatra happened, as we discussed in the last class, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experiences transcendental symptoms. He cries, he laughs, he jumps, he falls unconscious. So when Lord Jagannath is looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's actually seeing Srimati Radharani. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seeing Lord Jagannath, he's actually experiencing Krishna Prem. So this is the deeper or one more significance behind how the Rath Yatra came into place. So it is the benediction of Lord Krishna himself that he allows this pastime to be witnessed again and again. And it is also said in the scriptures that whoever witnesses the Rath Yatra and whoever pulls on the Rath, this is the last life for them. They will not have any future births. So I hope all of you got to see the return Rath Yatra yesterday, where the Lord leaves Vrindavan and is on his way back to Dwaraka. Of course, he will enter the temple tomorrow. Today, I believe he gets decorated in gold. They are receiving the king, so he will be, I think it is called Shonaravesh. So the Lord will be decked up in gold, getting ready to enter Sri Mandir again. So that is the deeper significance, one more significance of the Rath Yatra of Lord Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra traveling from Dwaraka, each on their own individual chariots into Vrindavan. So it's always Lord Balaram who leaves first, Subhadra comes second, and Lord Krishna arrives last. Why does Lord Krishna arrive last? Because as the king, as he's traveling, a lot of the devotees want to stop him offer their obeisances to him, offer bhoga to him. So he takes his own sweet time to come to Vrindavan, because on the way, so many of his devotees want to greet him. So now we will get into some interesting pastimes of the devotees of Lord Jagannath and Lord Jagannath also. So there is an interesting personality by the name Takki. Takki was a thief. So one day he's standing outside Simhadwar. Simhadwar is the gate by which the deities actually come out of Sri Mandir. So this is called Simhadwar. So he's standing at the Simhadwar gates and he overhears two devotees talking about how great the Lord is, how he's the Lord of the universe, how he is the owner of all things and therefore he is bedecked in jewelry inside the temple. And he also hears about how this precious jewelry is stored inside the temple in a place called the Ratna Bandhar. So of course, the first thing he thinks is, how do I get to this Ratna Bandhar, because I want to steal some of these jewelry. So somehow or the other, he decides to befriend some of the Daitas, the Pandas. And like this, as he is befriending the Pandas, he learns more and more about Lord Jagannath, how beautiful he is, how glorious he is. But he's such a skeptic, he thinks these people are fools. There can't be any God. How can he be the owner of anything? How does he even know? He is a piece of wood. These people are worshipping pieces of wood. They are so stupid. They are so ignorant. So like this, he's thinking that I am here to steal. I could care less about this other pastimes about the Lord. So like this, there is a particular personality he befriends called Dhulya Gumasta. So Dhulya Gumasta manages somehow or the other to take this thief into the temple. And he's telling him, this is where the Lord is. You should stand behind the Garuda Stamba and take your darshan of the Lord. So for the first time, this Takki enters the temple. He is asked by Dhulya Gumasta to stand behind the Garuda Stamba and take darshan of the Lord. So that's what Takki does. When Takki sees Lord Jagannath, he experiences intense fear because the Lord appears to him to be in a very frightful form. So when he lays his eyes on Lord Jagannath, he sees Lord Jagannath as somebody who's going to be ready to attack him. He looks very frightening to him. But this Dhulya Gumasta tells him, oh, by the way, here is this Ratna Bandhar. Here is where all the jewelry is stored. And then one day, Dhulya Gumasta takes Takki into the temple and he tells Takki, do you just observe what is there on the forehead of the Lord? This is called the Chitta. The Lord wears something here upon his forehead, jewelry, which you would have noticed on the Rath Yatra. Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev and Subhadra, they all have jewelry up here. It is called the Chitta. So, and this Gumasta tells Takki, you see how beautiful that Chitta is? It is just sparkling. It is filled with precious stones. And Takki says, they look like ordinary stones to me. Are you sure they are precious? So Gumasta says, yes, there are diamonds on that jewelry, on that Chitta. So like this, Takki makes a decision, yes, I need to get these 3 Chittas somehow or the other. So this Takki decides that I will enter the temple I will figure out a way to stay back in the temple at the night and I will steal this jewelry. But every time he would enter the temple with this plan, there is a particular ceremony that happens even today in Puri Jagannath. This is called the Bada Shringar. Bada Shringar, for some reason in Puri, the Lord likes to dress up before he goes to bed. Actually, it is said the Lord never sleeps in Puri. The Lord never sleeps because when the temple is shut, the demigods come to take darshan of the Lord. So there is this legend of this, that this is called the Bada Shringar Bhesh. Bhesh means dress or ornament. So Lord Jagannath and his siblings are adorned with beautiful bheshas throughout the year, but one particular one happens at night, right before the Ratri Pahuda happens, right before the Lord is put to rest and the temple is locked for a couple of hours. So every time Takki would go into the temple, thinking the Lord will be put to rest, somehow or the other, this pastime would never happen. So which means the Lord was never put to rest, which means worship was going on, which means he didn't have an opportunity to steal. So this happened multiple times. Multiple times he would go into the temple thinking, okay, the Lord will be put to rest now, and I can enact my plan to steal the jewelry. Soon thereafter, Takki falls ill. But as he is ill, he's still thinking, oh, the minute I get better, I will go in and do this. So when Takki stops coming to the temple, the regular programs mystically continue. So the Lord is put to rest and this Bada Shringar happens as per the rituals. So Takki is cured of his illness and therefore he has plotted. So somehow or the other, he hides himself inside the temple. The chittas are dazzling in the dark. The temple is pitch black, except Takki is able to see these three chittas. So the chittas are so bright, it blinds him. He's unable to see. So what does he do? He covers his eyes and he approaches Balabhadra. And with his eyes closed like this, his other arm, he reaches up to take the chitta from Lord Balaram. But what happens when he puts his hand on the chitta? There is no chitta there. So what is he experiencing? Hundreds of snakes under his palm. They are writhing around. Of course, he is frightened. He falls unconscious because he didn't even get to touch the chitta. What he experiences is snakes on the Lord's forehead. So he falls unconscious. So the next day morning, the Daitas come, the Pandas come, and they are astonished to see this person inside the temple. Some of them know him because he has befriended them. And they ask him, what are you doing inside the temple? He said, no, the snakes are chasing me, the snakes are chasing me, the snakes are chasing me. Don't you see the snakes? So they imprison him. But then, since he's technically not stolen anything, he is released. They're not able to keep him in prison. So soon thereafter, he comes down with leprosy and he is forced to live a life begging on the streets. So by now, of course, Takki has become a devotee because he's experienced Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, along with Balaram and Subhadra. So he begs the Lord for forgiveness. He tells the Lord, my dear Lord, I didn't recognize you. I didn't respect you. I dishonored you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. So like this, he's traveling the streets begging forgiveness from Lord Jagannath. At that time, he hears a voice. Lord Jagannath speaks to him. He says, Thakki, I am waiting for you. So you'll come back to me soon. I am waiting for you. So this is the glory of Thakki. Well, although he came as a thief, he ended up becoming a devotee of Lord Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. There is another pastime of a devotee called Salbeg. So once upon a time, there is a person by the name Lal Beg. Lal Beg was a soldier in Aurangzeb's army. And for whatever reason, he was on his way to Puri, Jagannath. And he comes across a river. In this river, he takes a bath and he notices there are many beautiful young women who are on the river banks. The minute the women see Lal Beg, they all run and escape. So Lal Beg is a Muslim. So the women run away from him except for one young Brahmin widow. So needless to say, he captures her. And she begs and pleads with him. She tells him, I am a widow. Please don't take me like this. But he refuses to listen to her. So he forcibly marries her and changes her name to Fatima. So the two of them are living a married life, this Lal Beg and this Brahmin's widow. They have 5 children, 5 sons, and of the 5 sons, only one survives. The son's name is Salbeg. So the father is Lal Beg, the son is Salbeg. So Salbeg also becomes a young man and he joins the army just like his father. So one day, father and son are fighting in a battle and both of them get seriously injured. They are not able to move. So the wife has to take care of both the husband and the son. Unfortunately, Lal Beg leaves his body, so leaving behind his wife and his son, Salbeg. At that time, Salbeg's mother teaches him bhakti. She tells him, you know that Lord Krishna, they are in Vrindavan, they are living in Vrindavan. You know that Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, who has performed all of his pastimes. He's that same Lord Krishna that is there as Lord Jagannath in Puri. So she tells her son Salbeg to worship Lord Jagannath. That if he worships Lord Jagannath, he will be cured of his illness. So although Salbeg had no faith, he was raised as a Muslim. He has no faith in this Jagannath and Puri. But because he did not want to displease his mother, he follows her instruction. He is constantly thinking of Lord Jagannath. And he is asked to recite the holy names of the Lord. And therefore he does recite the holy names of the Lord to please his mother. So like this Salbeg, once he is asleep at night and Lord Jagannath appears in his dream with a bowl of medicinal oil. And the Lord tells Salbeg, hey Salbeg, you apply this medicinal oil all over your body and you will be completely cured. So Salbeg wakes up from his dream thinking, what is this? And he turns around and looks by his bedside and there is a bowl of oil by his bedside. So he immediately takes the oil and rubs it all over his body. And sure enough, he gets cured of his illness. He's able to get out of bed. He's able to walk. So what does he do? He is feeling so grateful to the Lord, although he did not believe in the Lord. The Lord has come personally in his dreams given him this medicinal oil, left it behind for him. So he decides to go to Puri. He makes his trip to Puri. So he's on his way to Puri, and he starts glorifying the Lord. And he happens to witness the Chandan Yatra, the Snan Yatra, and the Rath Yatra when he visits Puri. You remember he is a Muslim, so he's not going to be allowed to enter the temple. But when he arrives in Puri, the Rath Yatra is about to begin. So the Snan Yatra happens, which he witnesses. And then the Rath Yatra eventually happens 14 days later, which he also witnesses. So like this, he is glorifying the Lord. He's filled with gratitude for what the Lord had done for him personally. So eventually he hears that his mother has left his body. So he returns to Vrindavan. So when he returns to Vrindavan, he does the Govardhan Parikrama as he's chanting the names of the Lord. Like this, 1 year passes by, and he's thinking, I want to see the Lord again. So the Rath Yatra in the following year is about to happen. But he also knows that the Rath Yatra has most likely already started. So it'll be too late for him to be able to see the Lord again, because by then the Lord would have gone back into the temple. But he prays fervently to the Lord, begging the Lord, telling the Lord, my dear Lord, I am leaving for Puri. Please do not go back into the temple until I can take your darshan. So like this, he is praying. So from Vrindavan, he has to travel to Puri to see the Rath Yatra, knowing fully well the Rath Yatra would have finished and the Lord would have entered the temple again. And because he's not allowed to enter the temple, he would not have darshan of the Lord. But as he is approaching Puri, he's begging the Lord, telling the Lord, my dear Lord, please hear my prayer. Please don't go back without giving me darshan. So meantime, in Puri, the Rath Yatra has started. The Lord is supposed to go back, and the cart refuses to budge. Jagannath's cart does not move. The king gets extremely worried. He prays to the Lord and tells the Lord, my dear Lord, what offenses have I committed that you're not willing to go back? I don't know what offense I have committed. So here, Salbeg is praying, my dear Lord, please don't go back into the temple. Here the king is praying, my dear Lord, please go back into the temple. The time has passed where you are supposed to go back. So the seva can resume in the temple, your worship can resume in the temple. How long can you stay here on the road like this, in a chariot? 9 days are over, you're supposed to be back in Sri Mandir. So like this, the king is praying there, begging and pleading with the Lord, please go back to the temple. You cannot stay here on this road like this. Rath Yatra is over. You are supposed to enter the temple now. But the Lord does not consent. So they try all kinds of means. They try to use elephants to move the Rath, but the Rath will not budge. By then, Salbeg arrives in Puri. What does Salbeg see? The Lord is waiting for him on his Rath. Seeing this, Salbeg falls on the ground and profusely thanks the Lord for waiting for him. So he picks up the rope and yanks on the Rath, and the Rath begins to move. So this is how the Lord gets back to Sri Mandir after he gives darshan to Salbeg. So he waited for his devotee before he enters the temple. So there are many such pastimes of the Lord where the Lord waits for the devotee, for one specific devotee, before he would actually go back into the temple. So this is the pastime of Salbeg. So even today in Puri, when the Rath Yatra is going on, Salbeg composes a lot of songs glorifying the Lord. So even today in Puri Jagannath, they glorify this devotee by the name Salbeg. They sing his praises, and they also sing his compositions to the Lord. So even today, Salbeg is honored. Apparently his samadhi is there on Grand Road, and it is said that the Rath always stops by his samadhi. That is there on Grand Road, even today. Coming to one more devotee, but this devotee of Jagannath lives in Delhi. His name is Paramesh Ji. Paramesh Ji was not a good-looking man, but he was born into a family of devotees. And he was a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. He happens to be a tailor, a very talented tailor at that. He is married. His wife's name is Bhimala. He has 2 daughters and 3 sons, and they are living in Delhi under the Mughal rule. Because he is an expert tailor and he is well known, the ruler of Delhi would get his clothes stitched by Paramesh Ji. So one day, the ruler of Delhi sends some very expensive cloth bedecked with precious stems and gives it to Paramesh Ji and tells him, you please make 2 nice cushions out of this cloth that I'm giving you, but nobody should know that you're stitching this for me. Keep it a secret. If I'm pleased with the work that you've done, I will reward you. Saying this, this ruler of Delhi goes. So Paramesh Ji has this beautiful piece of cloth with precious stones stitched into it, handed to him, and he's looking at the cloth, and the minute he looks at the cloth, he thinks about Lord Jagannath. He says, this cloth, this cushion that I'm about to make should really belong to Jagannath. This belongs to him. He is the owner of everything. Such a beautiful piece of cloth with all this jewelry. Why does an ordinary king need this? So like this in his mind, he's already thinking, this cushion that I'm about to make really belongs to Jagannath. So he starts stitching the 2 cushions. And as he starts stitching the 2 cushions, it just so happens the Rath Yatra has started in Puri. So thinking about the Lord constantly, he is imagining in his mind the Lord coming out of Sri Mandir, and they place the Lord on cushions as they move him on the road. So he's thinking about the Lord as he's stitching the 2 cushions. And in his mind, what does he see happen? One, the cushion that the Lord is on just explodes and all of the cotton goes flying all over the place. This is in his mind. He's observing the Rath Yatra in his mind, and the cushion explodes. And seeing that the Lord does not have a cushion, Paramesh Ji offers his cushion that he's stitching for the king to the Lord and tells the Lord, Lord, you have to be seated on a cushion. You please accept this cushion. And Lord Jagannath says, yes, I will take your cushion. So like this, Paramesh Ji is actually thinking through all of this, that he has offered his cushion and Lord Jagannath has also accepted the cushion. And when Paramesh Ji looks down, one cushion has disappeared. Only one cushion is remaining. Now he has a problem. What's he going to do? The king is going to come and ask for the 2 cushions, and he only has 1 cushion left. The other cushion has disappeared. So the king comes for his cushions. Actually, the king's servants come for the cushions. And he tells them, don't worry, I will come personally and give the cushions to the king. I will come tomorrow into the assembly and hand over the cushions to the king. So the following day, Paramesh Ji goes to visit the king, but he has only one cushion. So he tells the king, you know, this is what happened. Your cushion was taken by Lord Jagannath. Hearing this, the king gets very upset. You think I am a fool to believe this concocted story of yours? I want to know, who is this Lord of yours? And where does he live? At that time, Paramesh Ji begins glorifying Lord Jagannath. He says, my Lord, he's so beautiful. His pastimes are so supreme. He lives in a place called Puri. At which the king says, you realize how far away Puri is? You think your Lord came to Delhi to take the cushion while the Rath Yatra you are saying is going on in Puri? He says, stop speaking nonsense. And he says, I don't believe you. And he throws him in jail. And he binds him up and throws him in jail. And he tells him, I want to see how that Lord of yours comes to rescue you. You are saying your Lord took the cushion. Now I want to see how that Lord comes to save you. So as Paramesh Ji is in the jail, bound up, tied up, he is begging and pleading with Lord Jagannath, my dear Lord, you are my master. I am your servant. I am completely dependent on you. Please shower your mercy on me. At that time, Lord Jagannath comes into the jail cell and unties Paramesh Ji and touches him. At the same time, Lord Jagannath appears in the dream of this Muslim king and tells him, what have you done to my devotee? I am taking what belongs to me anyway, and you seem to have a problem with that. Everything in this universe belongs to me. I am Lord Jagannath. What's your problem if I take what belongs to me? And you've harmed my devotee. And saying this, Lord Jagannath beats up the king with a stick. When the king wakes up, he has welt marks all over his body. He realizes Lord Jagannath had really come and beaten him with a stick. Lord Jagannath also instructs him and tells him, you go to the jail cell right away, fall at the lotus feet of my devotee, beg for his forgiveness, worship him, honor him. So that's what the king does. He goes to the jail cell, he washes the lotus feet of Paramesh Ji, and eventually he makes Paramesh Ji his Kula Guru. So Paramesh Ji is also a great, great, great devotee of the Lord. And the king himself becomes, although he's a Muslim, he himself becomes a devotee of the Lord and serves Paramesh Ji very nicely. So there's one more pastime that we will talk about. This is the pastime of a personality called Raghudas. Raghudas lives in Puri. He's a poor Brahmana, but a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. But what was unique about his devotion is that he would constantly talk to Lord Jagannath like as if they were close friends. And all of the Puri Vasis knew that this Raghudas was a pure devotee and he was in his own mood. He was always interacting with the Lord, like they were good friends. They would have their arguments. They would have their conversations going on. So like this, he was a great devotee of the Lord and was well known in Puri as a great devotee of the Lord who had these transcendental pastimes with Jagannath directly. So This Raghudas was in the mood of a Sakha of Lord Jagannath. So, although Raghudas was not very young, he was a man, he was a married man, yet he related to Lord Jagannath like as if both of them were still little boys, like very young boys. So this is the mood in which he was having a relationship with Lord Jagannath. So one day, Lord Jagannath appears before Raghudas in the form of a very young boy and tells Raghu, I want to go steal some jackfruit. Why don't we go to the king's garden? You know how much I like jackfruit? Let's go together, no? We'll do some stealing. Raghudas says, what are you talking about? Stealing? If you want jackfruit, I will get you nice jackfruit. Why do we have to go in the middle of the night into the king's garden and steal? I know what will happen. I will get caught and I will get punished. But Jagannath refuses to hear. But Raghu, you know my pastimes, right? You know about my butter stealing pastimes. Even though Mother Yashoda made so much butter for me, I still enjoyed breaking into the houses of all the gopis and stealing their butter. There's no fun in just having it directly like that. There is so much fun in stealing and eating. That's my favorite pastime, Raghudas. I hope you know that. Please come with me into the garden. We'll go in the night. I will make sure you don't get caught, but we will enjoy jackfruit together. So Raghudas refuses. He says, I know what will happen. You will take me to the garden. I will get you the jackfruit. You will escape from there and I will get caught and I will be punished. I know how you operate. I don't trust you one bit. So like this, Raghudas is arguing with Jagannath saying, I don't trust you. Why do you need to go steal a jackfruit? I will buy you jackfruit if that's what you want. But the Lord kept insisting, and finally Raghudas surrenders to the Lord's desire. So he and the Lord managed to get into the king's garden in the middle of the night. And Jagannath tells him, Raghudas, this tree is very tall. You are taller than me. You climb up the tree, find a really nice jackfruit, and when you find it, you let me know, you drop it, I will catch it. So this is what the Lord has instructed Raghudas. You climb up the tree, find a nice jackfruit, tell me when you're about to throw it, I will catch it. So Raghudas is very obedient. He's climbed up the tree and he's knocking on different jackfruits, trying to figure out which one is ripe. Finally, he's found one and he calls out, hey Jagannath, are you ready? I've got the fruit for you. The Lord says, yes, I'm ready. I will catch it. I'm ready. Throw it down. So Raghudas throws it and the jackfruit crashes on the ground, splits into two and makes a loud noise. Guess what? Jagannath has disappeared from the crime scene. Only Raghudas is left. So the guards, hearing this huge sound in the middle of the night, they come searching to see what has happened inside the king's garden. Who is here? Who is making this noise? And to their astonishment, they see Raghudas sitting on the tree. And a jackfruit crashed on the floor, split into two. Why are they astonished? Because they know Raghudas is a great devotee of the Lord. Why would he be breaking and entering into the king's garden? So they immediately go and wake up the king and tell the king, you will not believe this, but Raghudas has entered your garden and tried to steal a jackfruit. So the king is even more bewildered to hear this. So he immediately accompanies the guards and goes to the garden. And Raghudas is still sitting on the tree. So he asks Raghudas, hey Raghudas, first come down the tree. Tell us what happened. And Raghudas tells him, see, this is how Jagannath trapped me. He wanted to eat jackfruit, I told him there's no need to steal. He didn't listen to me. And now he's made me look like I am the thief. So hearing this, the king and the soldiers start laughing. So this is Raghudas. And it is said that once there was a Rath Yatra that happened and the Ratha refuses to move. And the king tries various things to move the Rath and it would not move. And finally he decides he will ask Raghudas to go and speak to the Lord personally, encouraging the Lord to move. So Raghudas is called. Raghudas gets onto the chariot and whispers something into Jagannath's ears. And the minute he whispers something into Jagannath's ears, the Ratha starts moving. So this is another pastime of Raghudas, where he is forced to steal the jackfruit for the Lord, but the Lord disappears from the scene, trapping his devotee. So there are multiple pastimes between the Lord and his pure devotees where the Lord traps his pure devotees in his leelas. So this is one more pastime. One last pastime for the day. There is a famous devotee called Bandu Mohandi. And this is the story of Bandu Mohandi. So Bandu Mohandi was very poor. He lived in a place called Jajpur with his wife, 2 daughters and a son. So Bandu Mohandi used to beg for alms, and whatever he got is what his wife would cook, and they would partake of that. If they didn't get anything that day, they would go hungry. So it just so happened that once there was a great drought in Jajpur, and Bandu Mohanty would go knocking from door to door, but nobody would offer him anything because everybody was suffering because of the drought. So at that time, his wife becomes very despondent and she tells him, since nobody is able to give us anything, we are going to die soon if we don't get food. My children are going to pass away. Can't you see they are so weak? Don't you have any friends and relatives who we can go to, who can help us? And Bandu Mohanty says, oh yeah, I don't have any relatives, but I have some very good friend. But this friend resides in Puri. He's such a nice friend. If I go and ask him for anything, he will give me whatever I want. So immediately hearing this, the wife tells Bandu Mohanty, let's go then. Let's not delay any further. Let's go to your friend's house and get some food from him. So they begin the journey. They are exhausted, they are tired, they are starving, but the 4 of them travel from Jajpur to Puri Jagannath. It takes them 4 days. So they arrive at the Simhadwara, and what do they see? They see a huge throng of devotees entering the temple. And there are security guards posted outside. So Bandu Mohanty tells his wife, my friend has some very important visitors. We cannot enter the temple at this time. Let's wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow I will go visit my friend and ask him for help. So who is this friend? Lord Jagannath. So that night, his wife begs and pleads with him, our children are about to leave their bodies. Please do something. You are saying you can't visit your friend today because he has some very important visitors, but we cannot wait any longer. So Bandu Mohanty goes to the southern gate of the temple. Southern gate is where the kitchen is for Lord Jagannath. In the kitchen, after they cook the rice, they drain the starch. The starch water would come out from the drains. So Bandu Mohanty told his wife, let us drink this starch water. It is called peja, this starch water. Let's drink this peja and fill our stomachs with this starch water, the rice starch water. Tomorrow, I will go visit my friend and ask him for help. Today, he's too busy. So that's what they do. They collect the starch water from the drains, and the 5 of them drink the starch water. So as his wife and children are resting that night, Bandu Mohandi begins to offer his prayers to Lord Jagannath. He tells, my dear Lord, you are the Lord of the universe. Do I not belong to you? If you are the Lord of the entire universe, do I not belong to you? Why have you forsaken me like this? We will leave our bodies soon if you don't step in and help us. So like this, he is praying to the Lord and pleading with the Lord, and he falls asleep. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling out to him, "Oh, Bandu Mohandi, come here, I've got some prasadam for you. Oh, Bandu Mohandi, come, I've got some prasadam for you." He wakes up and he thinks, there must be many other Bandu Mohantis who knows me, who knows that I have come to Puri. Nobody knows me and nobody knows that I have come to Puri. So definitely somebody else is being called. So he doesn't get up. He's woken up, but he doesn't go to see who is calling him. So this time the voice comes again. "Oh, Bandu Mohanti from Jajpur, you have come with your wife and 3 children. Please come to the south gate. I have got wonderful prasad for you." So now he is convinced. Bandu Mohanti from Jajpur, that's him. So he goes to the south gate. And what does he see? He sees an old Brahmana with a golden plate filled with prasad. And this elderly Brahmana tells him, "Hey Bandu Mohanti, you and your family, you please have this prasad today. Tomorrow I will take care of everything else." So who is this old Brahmana? It's Lord Jagannath himself. Lord Jagannath, hearing his devotee's plea, is thinking, my devotee has come from so far. I have to help him. So Lord Jagannath personally goes into the kitchen, picks up a golden plate on which he is offered bhoga every day, fills it up with the remnants of the offerings, and goes to the south gate to hand over the plate to Bandu Mohanti and tell him, tomorrow I will take care of the rest. Bandu Mohanti doesn't know what it means. For him, he is seeing a Brahmana. He is not seeing the Lord. So the Lord, disguised as a Brahmana, comes and offers this plate. So Bandu Mohanti wakes up his family and tells them, this nice Brahmana has offered us this prasadam. Let's honor this prasad. So he wakes up his wife and 3 children, and they all honor prasadam. And Bandu Mohanti cleans the plate, and he goes back to the south gate to hand the golden plate back to that Brahmana. So when he goes to the south gate, there is no Brahmana. The temple is dark. Nobody's there inside. And because he doesn't want to enter the temple, he thinks, okay, so the Brahmana must have gone home. Let me keep the plate. I will wrap it in a nice piece of cloth, and I will go and hand it to the Brahmana tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning comes, and the Pandas discover that the golden plate on which they offer bhoga to Lord Jagannath has disappeared. So a great big commotion ensues. The temple is locked. Who could have stolen the golden plate? So a lot of other things happen in between, but I'll cut the story short. So somehow one of the Daitas notices that this Bandu Mohanty is sleeping on the street, and under his head, peeking out of the cloth, is this sparkling golden plate. So sure enough, he gets arrested by the king and he gets thrown into jail and beaten up for stealing. At that time, Bandu Mohanty worships the Lord and he tells the Lord, my dear Lord, you do whatever you want with me, but I'm completely dependent on you for your mercy. So the Lord appears in the king's dream. He says, when you have guests at home, do you not offer them food? Do you not take good care of them? What is your problem if I have a guest arriving at my house? I am offering what belongs to me. I have not touched anything that belongs to you, my dear king, but you seem to have a problem. Just like you take care of your guests very nicely, why am I not allowed to take care of my guests and my visitors nicely? This Bandu Mohanty has come from so far away, and all I was doing was taking care of him. He has come as a guest. Not only that, you imprison him and you beat him up. So the Lord tells the king, you better wake up right away. If you don't rectify this situation, your entire family and progeny will be destroyed. So the Lord has instructed the king to go wash the feet of Bandu Mohanty and to take care of him nicely. So immediately the king rushes to Bandu Mohanty and falls at his feet and tells him, I am so fortunate to see a pure devotee of the Lord. The Lord came to you personally and gave you prasadam yesterday. So I'm deeply honored and beg for your forgiveness that I have offended a pure devotee of the Lord. So what does the king do? Remember, Bandu Mohanty's prayers was, my dear Lord, please, am I not part of your universe? Are you not supposed to take care of me? So this was Bandu Mohanty's prayer. So the king builds a nice house for Bandu Mohanty on Grand Road, and Bandu Mohanty resides there with his family. So that house is still there on Grand Road, and Bandu Mohanty becomes a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. He was anyway a devotee, but he is well known in Puri. If you talk about Bandu Mohanty, everybody will know who that is. A great devotee of the Lord. So this is how the Lord eternally reciprocates with his pure devotees. He is not looking for any great tapas. He is looking for love. The more love and affection that we offer to the Lord reciprocates, right? Except in the case of the gopis, he's not able to reciprocate the love that the gopis have for him and the love that Srimati Radharani has for him. Therefore, to experience the love that Srimati Radharani has for him, he borrows her heart and comes in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so that he can also experience what Radharani experiences for him as Lord Shri Krishna. So with this, we will conclude the Hari Katha for today, and let us all sing the Jagannath Ashtakam one more time. Hare Krishna.